The United Kingdom has banned RT. Ofcom is the British telecommunications regulator. So it's for my American viewers, it's the equivalent of the FCC in the United States, right? So this is the official statement from Ofcom. A few days ago, they first said, Ofcom launches 15 investigations into RT. So Ofcom has opened 15 new investigations into the due impartiality of news programs on the RT news channel. We've observed a significant increase in the number of programs on RT that warrant investigation under our broadcasting code. When dealing with major matters such as the crisis in Ukraine, all Ofcom licensees must comply with the special impartiality requirements in our code. These rules require broadcasters to take additional steps to preserve due impartiality, namely by including and giving due weight to a wide range of significant views. So, Ofcom finished its investigations. And what did it find? Let's ban RT. So this is the announcement. They say that Ofcom revokes RT's broadcast license. Ofcom has today revoked RT's license to broadcast in the United Kingdom with immediate effect, and we've done so on the basis that we do not consider RT's licensee, TV Novosti, fit and proper to hold a UK broadcast license. Today's decision comes amid 29 ongoing investigations by Ofcom into the due impartiality of RT's news and current affairs coverage of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. We consider the volume and potentially serious nature of the issues raised within such a short period to be of great concern, especially given RT's compliance history, which has seen the channel fined £200,000 for previous due impartiality breaches. In this context, we launched a separate investigation to determine whether TV Novosti is fit and proper to retain its license to broadcast. The investigation took a number of factors into account, including RT's relationship with Russia. It has recognized that RT is funded by the Russian state, which has recently invaded a neighboring sovereign country. We also note new laws in Russia which effectively criminalize any independent journalism that departs from the Russian state's own news narrative, in particular in relation to the invasion of Ukraine. We consider that given these constraints, it appears impossible for RT to comply with the due impartiality rules of our broadcasting code in these circumstances. I mean, honestly, what am I supposed to tell you, man? This is funny because they say that RT cannot be impartial because it's funded by Russia. Okay, so how can the BBC be impartial when it's funded by the British taxpayer and the government? Right? They come here and they make these differences. They say, yeah, but BBC is different. They have an independent editorial board. Hey, man, I don't give a shit what excuse you give me. You only need to turn on the BBC for 5 minutes to see that it's state media. Come here and lie to me. The RT couldn't be anywhere near as effective as the BBC. The BBC is so good at being state media and state propaganda that most people don't even realize it. That's what's actually dangerous about it. So, of course, Ofcom is a tool of the British establishment, the political elites, and the Western elites. So, of course, it makes sense they're going to ban RT. They were waiting for this. They were just dying for an excuse to take RT off the air. And another thing that I should point out to you is that even if you are in the UK, before Ofcom revoked RT's license, you couldn't watch RT anyway. You know why? Because the satellite company that broadcasts RT, over the satellite into the UK is based in Luxembourg. And so when the EU, the European Union, banned RT a few weeks ago, on March 2nd, Luxembourg complied with that demand, and well, they just took RT off the air. So, again, if you're in the UK, you can watch it. And again, just to give you an idea, when you go and try to look at RT's tweets, this is what you get. This is the message that you get. It says account withheld. And so what YouTube did a few days ago, YouTube had banned RT inside of Europe to comply with the EU regulations. But then YouTube went ahead and banned RT everywhere. They banned RT Arabic. They banned RT Espanol, even though that's the #1 news channel in Latin America. They banned everything worldwide, even though they didn't have to. They just did it because they wanted to. Which, again, it shows you how big tech is a tool of Western imperialism, right? The NSA files revealed that anyway, how they were all cooperating with the NSA, but this is, again, another manifestation of that. And so the idea that RT has to be banned because it's state media, but the BBC can stay, and that the BBC is not state media and the BBC is impartial is a fucking joke. You are off your rocker. You're insane. I'm not even going to entertain your delusions. The thing is that at least RT is overt and very clear about its bias. It's not trying to hide anything. You don't have to like it, but it doesn't lie. It's exactly what it says on the tin. The BBC lies. ITV, Sky News, Channel 4, CNN, Fox, ABC, CBS, PBS, NPR. All of this is fucking state media. It's corporate media. The same corporations that own the senators, that own the parliament, own these media outlets. You're getting state propaganda on an unprecedented level. I mean, RT couldn't dream to have that kind of effect. Could you imagine if RT was actually as potent as the BBC? Everyone in the West would be supporting what Russia's doing. Again, that's the irony. Like, it shows you how they're actually just ganging up against RT. RT was saying things like, again, I'm talking about Ukraine, right? I was talking about this with Merendi. I think it was during the live stream when he was in the studio a few weeks ago. It's on the channel. You know, RT at least were treading carefully. Like, they weren't saying XYZ happened. They were saying the Kremlin claims that XYZ happened. So being quite impartial. You know, whereas in Western media, they come to you and they say, this is what happened. U.S. officials said so, and that's it. I have this readout. That's what the readout says. It was given to me by the Pentagon. Of course it's true. You know, the State Department spokesperson says something. It's a fact. The government said so. It's a fact. Don't question it. Be quiet. We already looked at this together, you know, with Ned Price and then on Fox News. It's state media. Look, man, I'm old enough to remember the Iraq War. I'm not listening to anyone. No one is going to come here and, like, you're not going to sit there and fucking lecture me and tell me my business and tell me that what I saw on TV, on Sky News and the BBC and CNN when they were invading Iraq is not state media. Go and fuck yourself. Go play that trick on someone who's a dunce. That clown shit is not going to work with me. And you're not going to come here and tell me that RT is worse than the BBC. RT, that's actually an insult to compare RT to the BBC. You know, RT did not support the war in Iraq. RT does not come in and try to justify drone striking civilians in Afghanistan. RT actually lets people cover the Assange case. You think the BBC would invite me on to talk about Assange? I am, objectively speaking, I'm an expert in this field because I'm one of 15 people, 10 people that have actually covered this case. So do you think they invited any of us? Like, I'm not, forget me. Like, do you think they invited any of us to talk about this? No way. We can't talk about that. That's a journalist being attacked in Britain, in my country, and the supposedly impartial broadcaster won't have any of us on to talk about it. Incredible, right? Wow. You call that being impartial? Because all I hear is CIA talking points about Assange. I don't ever hear the other side. That's just one topic. That's you know, you want to talk about Iraq? You want to talk about Afghanistan? You want to talk about everything else? Forget the wars. Like, just leave the wars aside for a second, which already, like, is an atrocity in and of itself. Just look at how they cover things in the UK. I didn't see the BBC criticizing the police crime sentencing and courts bill, or the overseas operations bill, or the new nationality and borders bill, or the spy cops bill. None of this. They don't criticize the government. It's a joke. It's a complete joke. And the same can be said of the others. And so the idea that Ofcom is a regulator is horseshit. They are a tool of the establishment, the British political establishment and the Western establishment. They're silencing dissent because this is how neoliberals function. They can't have you absorbing two different viewpoints and making up your own mind. The fucking irony is that if RT is really, as they say, it's literally unable to be impartial because of this law that was passed in Russia, well, then that makes an even bigger case for it to be on the air, so people in Britain can listen to RT, which is the Kremlin viewpoint, according to you, and then listen to the other viewpoint, the Western viewpoint, and make up their minds. But you hear Ofcom is choosing what you're allowed to consume. They're censoring. It's censorship. If Russia did this, they would have no problem calling it censorship. If Syria did this, they would call it censorship. So why are we mincing words here? And the thing is, Ofcom also banned Press TV a few years ago, right? They took Press TV off the air. Again, that's another targeted move. You know that they're dying for an excuse to do this stuff. They say they respect freedom of speech. I'm telling you, man, I'm a British journalist. I've been covering the Assange case. I'm one of the only people covering them. There is no fucking freedom of press in the UK. That's me telling you that. Remember that. There is no freedom of press in the West. When you actually do your job, they lock you in fucking prison in Belmarsh. I've stood outside that jail. It's a hellhole. I don't even want to know what it looks like inside. When you do your job, they take you off the air. That's the freedom of the press in the West. So don't come here and lecture me about my business. I know exactly what's going on. I even have to watch out. I have to fucking stress about what words I use and what stories I talk about because of the censorship, because I'm afraid they're going to do something to my YouTube channel, God forbid, or something else. The fact I have to do that shows you that the censorship stuff has gone wild. They are exploiting the war in Ukraine to silence any dissent, because that is how neoliberals and neoconservatives function. They are authoritarians. Everything they accuse the official enemies of, Syria, North Korea, they do themselves. They are the real authoritarians. They are the real fascists who insist on having a totalitarian state. There is only one narrative. You are only allowed to consume this media. Anyone who says otherwise from the official narrative is an enemy collaborator. This is how it goes during the Iraq War, Afghanistan, Ukraine. It's always like this, even during primaries, right? If you say something against the DNC, they say, hey, look at Bernie Sanders, how they did him. Oh, you're working for Russia? You can't do anything, man. This is who liberals are. They love censorship, and that's how they deal with their enemies, because they can't tolerate people who disagree with them. And you're seeing this neoliberalism in the EU and in the UK. Freedom of press. What a joke. What an absolute joke.